Our next session is Optimizing Living Environments for Aging. And I am very honored to present our next speaker, Dr. John Brown. Dr. John Brown is the Dean of the University of Calgary School of Architecture, Planning and Landscape. His work explores the intersection of architecture and aging, focusing on designing environments that promote autonomy, longevity, and well-being for older adults, and in my opinion, all adults. Please welcome him to our stage.
Thank you very much. I've got my timer to make sure I don't go over, and I'm going to put it down here on the floor. Thank you very much for the introduction, and it's nice to see everybody here. It's nice to see everybody back from coffee. I apologize for having to ruin the networking session, but you'll have more opportunities. We'll all have more opportunities later. So as was mentioned at the top of the morning, I feel a little bit like a fish out of water here. One of my favorite television shows was Star Trek, and if you remember that, Dr. McCoy would often look at the captain and say, "Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a electrician." Well, now I can say, "Damn it, Jim, I'm an architect, not a doctor." So on that note, let's start. And this was the challenge that I was asked, or the question that I was asked to address, and I think the simple. There we go. The answer to that is no. We're not optimizing it. We're, in fact, not even close. Growing old and having to go into a facility is one of the things that is often the most scary in a person's life. And I think we've probably all been touched by individuals in our families and in our friend circles who have had a bad end. Not because of, ultimately it is a medical situation that is the issue, but around all of that is a really poor quality of life that comes from the physical environment. And I put this slide up because I think this kind of epitomizes the approach that we've had to supportive environments, which is we're going to think about the body as a mechanical object, and we're going to provide enough handholds and safety things that are going to get the job done. And while, yes, you can technically use this washroom if you have different abilities, it's not a very nice washroom. And how many of you have been in hotels where you're given the accessibility suite and you go, "Oh, geez, I really don't want that." And so we set out, this is the part of where I think our two worlds do intersect, about, well, how do we change that? How can I, as an architect, think about space in a different way for those with differing abilities? And the analogy that I started to work with were eyeglasses. Everybody, or half of you in this room, have a medical device, a medical support device on your face. I do. And yet that's not how we think of it. We go to the store and we buy one because we think we look good in it, or our loved one tells us we look good in it, or a little less bad in it, which is the way it goes with my wife. But if they were medical devices, and if we treated them like medical devices, they'd probably look something like this, right? They would be stainless steel, they would be thick, they'd be heavy, it would be one size fits all. But that's not the way it is. What we have instead is an infinite variety of glasses that we can choose to reflect the way we feel about ourselves, the things we want to portray about ourselves. I'm an architect. Architects always wear black thick glasses. That's how you can tell an architect, or a wannabe architect. And so we set out to say, could we develop an architectural model of housing where the supports were as transparent as the glass in a pair of eyeglasses, and was completely between you and your doctor, not broadcasting to the rest of the world that there was something wrong with your eyes. This is really frustrating. So what our challenge is, we believe that we need to find supportive living that people want to live in, where it's not the worst thing that happens in your life, it's actually a good thing. And we do that by thinking about housing that promotes independence, belonging, and well-being. Now, all of those are probably strategies that you as physicians would aspire to as well, but in my world, this is not a good system to be able to deal with sophisticated PowerPoints. I apologize. It becomes about architecture, it becomes about community, and it becomes about care. And I'm going to talk about all of those. And when you add all of those together, you come up with our housing solution, which is something that we call Garden Loft. And I'll explain why that name is there. And it's an integrated housing solution for high quality aging. And it actually started as a research project with the Cummings School of Medicine about 10 years ago. They called up our faculty. I was Associate Dean Research at the time, and they said, we want to do something about home health. And as all good physicians, they said, we need a specialist on the home side, which is not something architects typically do. We think we can do it all. So I started to work, and we built a couple of prototypes, and then we commercialized that out of our lab, and out of my lab and their lab, and created a startup that we launched a couple of years ago. And so this is one of our units. It's a prefabricated, tech-enabled modular system that creates high-quality, care-enhanced communities. It ranges from backyard suites to small villages and small care homes. It ranges from independent to assisted living to high levels of care. Oops. All right, what the heck. So this is what the interior looks like. It's a joyously supportive place to live. And it has counters that go up and down so that you can sit if you need to cook and clean up. It has handrails that are cleverly disguised as places to hang tea towels and bath towels to be able to support you. It has a floor that reduces hip fractures and injuries from a fall by 43%. It has 22 safety and support features that are there, but you couldn't tell from looking at them. There. Garden Loft is available in two sizes. We have a 380 square foot and a 480 square foot, one bedroom and a studio. And it has 22 safety and support features, in addition to a digital component that I'll talk about in a few minutes, that empowers independence, dignity, and agency. And we received the 2023 City of Calgary Award for Accessibility, which we really were proud of. Although we don't believe in accessibility, we believe in inclusion as a strategy for everyone and well-being for everyone. So this is what the interior looks like. The view to the front with a dining table at the front window. You can see the kitchen on the side with the sliding glass door that leads to the bedroom. That's looking slightly around to the other side. This unit faces north. It's filled with natural light. It's they're almost net zero if you put solar panels on. This is looking, there's, you can see the up-down counter, the electric counter, the view down the hall through the bedroom to the bathroom, and then the view back to the front door. And then we have the view of the bedroom and then the bathroom. So that's the architecture side. We spent a lot of time testing and perfecting the interior of this, and then also enabling this unit to be craned over the top of a two-story house into the backyard. So it's all about light and dynamic loading and a whole bunch of other technical things that we don't need to get into. So now that we had this, how could we use it? And this is where community came in. Oops. So the first are backyard suites. We have backyard suites where we can put it in the backyard to enable your family to look after you, or friends, or however you might decide to do that. We've got 6 of these in Calgary and Edmonton, and one that's going to Ottawa next week. And it's really about family-focused supportive living. And of course, the key to that is this relationship between, it's usually mothers and daughters, but between children and their parents. And what it's doing is empowering an individual family to be able to look after their parents. The unit is prefabricated, so it could be placed, and then when it's no longer needed, it can be sold and moved off of the property, liquidated if the funds are required for higher levels of care or for estate management, whatever. And it really is amazing because you're a neighbor, not a roommate, and you're able to maintain your own independence and dignity and quality of life, but still get increasing levels of support as needed. The second are, we can take, and we're putting multiple garden lots together into self-organized villages within existing, embedded in existing communities. And this enables those that don't have a family to be able to live in one of our units. It also allows community groups like faith-based organizations or housing societies, municipalities, particularly in small communities, to be able to set up a small independent living facility on their own. And here's a couple of examples. Here's a 10-unit that has with ramps that come down. That's what those tongues are that come out in between the two units with a common, a very simple, modest, this is in a small town in southern Alberta. Slightly larger, something again in a medium-sized town in central Alberta where the units are developed as courtyards, and then there's a community center that actually it's actually became a commercial coffee shop for the community. And then a 90-unit, much larger village that we're looking at doing in a country residential setting north of Calgary, where people that have been living in a rural situation or on the country residential acreages are able to move into these. And these have full amenity buildings with meals and medical support as well. And then finally, we've developed in collaboration with the Brenda Strafford Foundation, as our care partner, the idea of basically adding our units together to create a small care home. The Alberta Health launched a small care program to fund 14 small care homes up to 14 units in size. And so here you can see what we basically have done is taken our same unit, added them together, and then enclosed the space in between them as an atrium where that's the main central space for communal living. So we can see the floor plan there. The light blue are our units. They're put together, many of them are put together in pairs with a false door, kind of like a hotel room, so that if you have couples that are there together, they can share a double unit and maybe put 2 beds in one side and have a living space, or 2 separate beds. It doesn't really matter, but it maintains flexibility. And then that central green space is, there's a small kitchen, uses multi-skilled workers, which is a new part of the Alberta Health's program. Multi-skilled workers who do the cooking and the housekeeping as well as provide personal care. And so we have a kitchen, we have a living space, a dining area, an office, and an exercise area on the far left. But really the idea is that it's not like a group home where you have a room in a house. It's a community where you have a house and an internal kind of square or street or plaza, however you might like to put that. So you can see in the section there how that community atrium is higher. So we can organize this in any way. This just happened to be for Bassano in southern Alberta. We have an ask of the provincial government. We've been waiting for over a year to find out if we're going to get funded or not. It's part of a funding competition. If any of you have anything to do with that, please release the results. But we're able to, we use our modular units, and we can, as building blocks, we can shape them in any way. So we're working with First Nations communities, putting them in circles. We're adding in public services or community services such as a daycare with one of the First Nations, or you could be looking at a community center. You could do all kinds of different pieces. So really what we're doing is trying to create kind of like the precision health piece that I'm learning about this morning, the ability to fine-tune and customize a housing solution specifically to the need, whether it's a family, a small village, or a higher level of care within a project like this, and really particularize the architecture for that particular need. We see that there's a great demand. We think there's going to be a great opportunity in rural and remote communities where there isn't the ability to, there isn't necessarily the internal expertise to be able to develop and design this, and they're not really large enough to attract the large-scale care provision companies that will be able to do this. The whole thing is prefabricated, including the atrium, and so we can go in and construct them, and we are also starting to now work with First Nations communities, which we see as a real bonus. So moving to the care side, I mentioned that we have a collaboration with the Brenda Strafford Foundation, who are just a wonderful partner to work with. I got to know them back in the day when we were doing our early testing with the School of Medicine and the Brenda Strafford Center for Aging. And we now have a collaboration where they put together a playbook, a customizable modular playbook for care and operational management of care facilities, so that goes hand in hand with our modular architectural component, where we can go out and, depending on the capacity, the expertise, and the needs of a particular community, we can provide that level of support, that not only just building the unit, but also support and helping them to operate it, just to provide education to the multi-skilled workforce that might be there, and back-end support as well. So we're really excited about it. We've called it the Atrium Way because of the atrium inside of our buildings, and we're actually now just starting to think about how might that care management piece extend into the village and the backyard suite. Maybe not in terms of actually the provision of care, but a management component, which is part of our digital platform that we have, which I can speak about right about now. So in the same way that Tesla has an app that lets you use the car in all sorts of cool ways and augments the experience of driving and parking, our app does the same thing. I really have a bit of a beef against a lot of the age tech systems that are being developed right now, that I think that they're very standalone. They don't really connect in with a broader platform, and they don't necessarily deal with the wide range of issues that face people that are aging, which have to do as much with how do I turn the lights on as knowing what my blood pressure is and staying connected with friends. So we decided that we would create this app that was deeply embedded in our residential offering, that provided four different things. The first on the bottom is probably what you would expect. It's smart home management. The key to this is that the interface, you can see one screen of it there, that's the community port, is specifically designed for seniors that are not tech enabled and that may have visual acuity and reduced cognitive skills. And also simultaneously it's available to supporters. So a family member can also see, or a care provider, if it's in a village or a care home, can also see, well, does John are John's lights still on? Is John's door locked? Is the heat too high or too low? What's actually going on inside the unit? And of course, we collect all of that data passively so that we can start to do some behavioral monitoring, which I'll talk about in a couple of minutes. So that's the sort of low-hanging fruit. It's what you would expect. It's probably what most of you have in your homes, but we've changed it. Our platform brings all of that together and into a single interface, and we'll have that all run off of the TV eventually. So there'll just be a very simple remote and a television rather than having to use a tablet or a phone, because that also causes a problem. Going up to the top, our social engagement hub, that's what we've been working on mostly. The social isolation, you know better than I, the impact of that, and how do you make friends if you are not able to get out into the community as much. And so what we've done is we took the analogy, architects love analogies, the analogy of what happens when you move to a new home or a new city. You join a club, you do things that others are involved with so that you can meet people. And sometimes when you're sitting there doing an art class or going to the museum or whatever, you're in a class with somebody that you think, well, they're kind of interesting. I think I might get to know them. Maybe you go for a coffee and then you become friends and you create that social network. You get to know their friends. They get to know your friends. And so we've created this, again, along with Brenda Strafford, created a calendar of daily events that bring people together from across all of the various Garden Loft units in a particular area, and actually across the whole sphere of our network, that they can go to a Friday afternoon wine party or a coffee club, or there are activities, there's exercise activities, there's watch parties for hockey games, and a whole range of things that you can do, and you can then friend somebody, and then we have an internal, basically a kind of video conference, FaceTime kind of environment that is extremely easy to use, where you've got little faces, and you can only connect with the people who said they want to connect with you, and nobody from the outside can come in, which is also for a vulnerable population. We don't want to open that up, and we're just going to start some trials in January with that. We've done 2 trials already and revised the app as we've gone, and it seems to be very, very powerfully accepted by the community to be able, as a way of being able to not only be entertained and to have something to do, but also to make friends. And then for some people, they actually get involved and they organize their own watch parties, and they become contributors to the network. On the left-hand side, we have personal services and care management. So we've developed a fractionalized model of like Uber or Skip the Dishes, where in any specific community we have preferred vendors for everything from haircuts to house cleaning and dog walking and vets and the whole thing, as well as private care providers. And so all of those can be managed either by the resident or by the supporter through our app, with just like Skip the Dishes, and the payment is made through all of that. And that also, even if you're in a backyard suite, if the family goes on holidays, they can arrange to have a whole suite of support services provided for them. And in the villages, it's interesting because it also means what we're seeing is people are coming together, groups are coming to us, 6, 7, 10 people are coming to us and saying, we want to all live together and grow old together. We all have, and it's a naturally occurring retirement community, and this app and our system enables that to happen. Really what we're doing as good architects is providing us infrastructure with which people can create their own communities and define how they want to live. And then finally, on the right-hand side, there's an emergency alert system. We're collecting all of this. We're going to be implementing a system of motion detectors that will collect data about when you're moving around, because as you all know, hyperactivity, lethargy, and obsessive behavior are all early warning signs for all kinds of things. And so starting to collect that data and then being able to transpose that with medical records would allow us to maybe do some advanced early warning sign kind of pointers that could be directed to medical professionals. So that's the plan. We'll be rolling that out over the course of the next couple of months to make all of that happen. So just to conclude, our goal is to create a customized, individualized architectural solution for people to be able to decide, for people with their families and their friends to be able to decide how they want to live, how they want to grow old. And I think I wasn't exactly sure when I first accepted this how this would fit into the main topic of this, but I think it actually aligns really closely with this notion of individualized care, particularly the last speaker talking about how all of that stuff that went right over my head, because damn it, Jim, I'm an architect, not a doctor. But I think that there is that, and I'm excited about the potential of how this might go, and whether there's opportunities to think about that sort of customized care within the systems that we've done. And I would be remiss if I didn't put a shout out to Thin Air Labs. Crystal and over in the corner, Thin Air Labs is a local venture capital sort of, firm? No, I was going to say a kind of incubator that helps out. We've known them for a long time, and they are our partner. They're our first major investor, and without their support, none of this would have really been possible. They even allowed us to put a show suite in their offices down in downtown Calgary. So yeah, it's an interesting situation to be in an office with 20-year-old entrepreneurs, and then I'm the world's oldest entrepreneur. So thank you very much. If you're interested, there are some brochures or at least pamphlets, maybe. Out on the table that talk a little bit more about that. If you want to get in touch with me, you can go through the university. Just go to the dean at Zapple. That's my side hustle, is being dean. My real day job is doing this. Or if you go to our website, gardenloft.ca, all of those things that they have to reach out all come to me. So info@gardenloft.ca is me. So thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to participating in the panel.